All right. Sony TC K96R, 1978, retailed for around $690. Today's inflation, I don't know, a lot of money. Why would somebody spend that on a tape deck of today's dollar? Nobody would. Why? Because nobody listens to tapes anymore, I guess, except for me and a few of you guys on the forums. um, but realistically, I've got some old bootlegs, and I'd like to listen to them. Concert bootlegs, and there's nothing you can really you can play them on. So, of course, I have several other tape decks, like the Seiwa. It's a good little unit. This WX707. It's dependable, it plays well, and everything, but can't beat the Silverface. Um, this thing is a bear to troubleshoot and fix and get in there. It's heavily mechanical, and electronically speaking, it's pretty straightforward. But it's the combination of the mechanical in with the electronic that can make you feel a little frustrated sometimes. So when I got it, it was dead on arrival. It powered on, it lit up. One of the meters was out. I was just a loose connection I was able to quickly remedy. But it didn't power, it didn't spin up. So one of the motors, you'd have to give this little flywheel here a little shove to get it rolling. And then once it got rolling, it would play forward, but the speed was way off. As soon as you hit the reverse play, it would default and boom, right back into forward. It wouldn't stick. And one of the capstand and pinch rollers didn't make contact on this side. I'd only have capstand pinch roller contact when playing forward. So obviously there was something wrong with the gears and the adjustments in there. The startup of the motor, it could be several different things. But the first remedy was finding a belt. Found the appropriate belt. It's a little thinner than the original, but it came recommended. I called the guy, and he swore up and down it'll work. And you pay a little premium for the specially made belts, but I'm happy with it. I was also able to find an unobtainium vintage new old stock idler wheel. These things crack. They're 40 years old, and the rubber turns hard, and they crack. The wheel, the plastic crack, and you can't find them. I got lucky. I was able to find one, and so the idler wheel belt still had the same problem. The speed was all out of whack. My potentiometer adjustments were within spec, and you could max it out both ways, and it wouldn't remedy the speed. So I knew there was something up with it, and it ended up the motor. I found a donor transport, which is like super unobtainium. I just got lucky. This has been on and off the bench for like the last 3-4 months. So I've been keeping an eye out for one, and I just logged on one night, and there it was, and I hit buy. So with hopes that it had a good motor, one of the two motors that I could use. They are different shafts on them, but theoretically you could swap the shafts on them. They do come apart just like this, so that it's more or less the base that you're looking for, and these are interchangeable, I believe. All right, just from looking at them. So my motor was bad. Got the new motor in there, still did the reverse play. Speed was better now. I was able to adjust it, but it wouldn't reverse play. I had already had the transport all apart. Every last gear in here had been cleaned with alcohol and re-lubed. When you're taking this transport apart and you're peeling back the two layers, be very careful. There are some ball bearings that will drop out, and if you're not paying attention, they end up on the ground and floor, and they're gone forever, and you're not going to find replacements. So make sure you have a parts tray underneath when you're taking this transport apart. So that same unit, I knew once I took my gears apart and cleaned them, I knew there was a problem because this idler gear on my flywheel, the original pin was sheared off and it ovalized the hole. I fabricated a new hole and a new pin to fit on there, but it never perfectly fit snug. So you can see how it moved back and forth, and just that little bit of play prevented it from engaging. So thankfully, this donor part had a good idler gear, and I was put that in there, and now all of a sudden my pin troller and my capstan, and I was able to reverse play. At this point, it was time to adjust the speed, and there wasn't flutter and woe in it. It just was a speed issue. And I don't have a frequency counter right now. And so, you kind of need one to get that 1 kilohertz test tape and adjust it on your frequency counter. But I guess you could use an O-scope, but again, the O-scope is only, accurate if you're measuring, periods, from peak to peak or upwave to upwave. Then you're getting it close, but you're not going to get it like a frequency counter can on these old analog O-scopes. So I just recorded a 1 kilohertz signal off of YouTube, and on a deck that I know had perfect speed, made that tape, played it in here, and then played it left channel, right channel along with the YouTube 1 kilohertz sound test. And I was able to get it pretty darn close. And after that, I took a tape that I know well and played the tape, played the YouTube, and then adjusted it out final. And now I've got it pretty much dead on. I would be really not surprised at all when I do get a spec am here in the near future, a frequency counter, that I will be able to pretty much, I bet you I'll be right on because it sounds perfect now. So, long story short, this thing has been very challenging. It's been a really fun late night project, but stick with it. These are a really tricky deck to work on. There's lots of moving parts. There's lots of, inner workings to this transport mechanism. So if you have any questions about it, if you've been fiddling with yours and you can't figure it out, post below. I'll try and help best I can. I am going to do a recap on the power supply and the control board. But as it is now, I'm going to listen to it and enjoy it for a little while. And then when I don't have another project on the bench, then I'll recap this one. All right.